Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to briefly analyze how Jurrien, Timber, and Kai Havertz have maximized Saka's final third threat in Arsenal's 4-4-2 during Martin Odegaard's absence. So in today's video, first we're going to analyze Arsenal's 4-4-2 and how it operates. Then we'll shift to how Timber and Havertz impact Saka's productivity in the final third. And lastly, we'll show you some right side examples.
So when we break it all down and we do look at the board, we've had Arsenal in more of a 4-4-2 since the departure of Martin Odegaard, with Kai Havertz and Trossard up front, Declan Rice and Thomas Partey in the central midfield position, and then Martinelli and Saka out in the wider areas. When we focus on Arsenal's right-hand side, what we've witnessed from them is that we've seen more involvement down that flank from Jurrien Timber. Timber has been a useful outlet for Arsenal down their right-hand side, and he's prevented Saka from getting himself into 1v2 or 1v3 situations. It has provided more flexibility and more unpredictability to Arsenal's attack. And what we've witnessed in the last few games is that with his overlapping and underlapping runs, he's provided an outlet that's helped Arsenal get into attacking positions on a consistent basis. We witnessed elements of it against Man City when Arsenal were 11v11, and a lot of their transitional attacks that led to corner kicks stemmed with Saka and Timber combining down that right-hand side to break in towards advanced areas, knowing that Doku wouldn't track back when Arsenal won possession. Against Leicester, Arsenal's attack did stagnate when Saka was attempting to beat a few defenders by himself, and you could often see him being crowded out in 1v2 or 1v3 situations. He did get some help from Kai Havertz, who was constantly drifting in towards that zone to drag away the center back, and from there they combined well, and he was able to help Saka serve as a creative outlet by getting Havertz into advanced positions, and Havertz's attempt to drag away markers was to help create space for Saka as well. Nevertheless, in situations where Saka ignored Havertz's movement in towards that zone, or simply attempt to battle the 1v2 by dragging the ball towards the byline, he either lost possession or placed himself in areas that created low quality chances. Here, with Arsenal operating with two central floating attacking players, Saka could receive the ball higher up the pitch in the right touchline zone, and he was able to locate the underlapping runs of Trossard and Havertz breaking beyond the Leicester City fullback. This isn't often the case for Saka when Arsenal often play in a 3-2-5, as Ben White is often one of the three center backs, and he rarely makes those overlapping and underlapping runs. When he does, Arsenal do have success with those two combining, but if he doesn't, that's where you have Saka isolating himself in that right touchline zone to stretch the pitch. He's dragging markers towards him, and unless he gets underlapping runs from Odegaard, that's where you would see those two combine successfully. However, a lot of the times you have Odegaard looking to receive the ball on the outside of the attacking side's midfield bank, and from there Saka's higher up the pitch waiting for possession, rather than having runners ahead of him creating space for him to get on towards his left foot or serve as a creator. However, against Leicester City, when Saka received the ball higher up the pitch, he often had support with Timber looking to make underlapping runs in narrow positions, and Havertz dragging away a marker, but even in those scenarios with some help, Leicester City did a very good job of getting numbers across, as they often had the double up down that right-hand side, and a center back coming across with some additional help from Ndidi on the rare occasion. Saka struggled to have an impact in those scenarios, but it was good to show that Arsenal were attempting to support him in those zones to help create space for him or to serve as a creative outlet. However, despite Saka having support in these scenarios from Timber and Havertz, there were still situations where he got into 1v1s or he was outnumbered in those zones, and he was placing himself in low quality situations where he struggled to impact the game. Leicester were keen on showing Saka towards the byline, and there were scenarios where he had overlapping runs from Havertz and underlapping runs from Kai Havertz, and in those scenarios he would look to drag the ball onto his weaker right foot, and he would fire low quality shots on goal or settle for corner kicks. In many of these scenarios where Saka was forced towards the byline, he would take the bait and place the ball on towards his weaker right foot, and in those scenarios Leicester got what they wanted, as he often fired shots at the keeper that he was able to push away or into side netting. Therefore, when we look back to the board, the adjustment that we've witnessed due to Odegaard's injury is the fact that Saka is now picking up the ball in deeper positions that Odegaard would once occupy, and it's allowing other runners to break in towards that zone, creating space for Timber to make those overlapping and underlapping runs, and to create space for Trossard and Havertz to drift in towards those zones so that they could combine with Saka. When you look to some of Arsenal's best chances throughout that Leicester game in open play, it stems with Saka receiving the ball deeper and then picking out runners breaking in beyond him. If we look at a few examples, first you could see Saka cutting in across the Leicester City left back, Havertz occupying the center back, and Timber running beyond his marker. As Havertz looks to break towards goal, Saka creates the 2v1, and he plays the ball across the Leicester City fullback for Timber, and as we watch that play develop, Timber looks to play the ball across the penalty area for Havertz, but it ends up falling into the path of Martinelli, who's able to do a very good job of hitting the ball behind him in towards the bottom corner. Then you could look to a time where Saka's much deeper and Havertz drifted in towards that right touchline zone, and you can see that he drags Timber's marker with him, and the issue that Leicester City have here is that their fullback is attracted towards the ball. Timber makes an underlapping run, and Havertz plays the ball across the Leicester City left back for Timber at the byline, and he's able to scoop an effort towards the 6-yard area, and that clearance ultimately leads to a good opportunity for Martinelli. And then if we just focus on one final opportunity, you could see Saka playing the ball in towards Timber, and Saka's the deepest of the 3 Arsenal players. And then from there, once Timber receives the ball, he looks to break towards the byline, and Saka continues his free run in towards the penalty area, where Timber does a very good job of cutting back rather than firing a first-time ball in towards the box, and locating Saka, making that free run in towards the penalty area to place him in a position that he could serve as a legitimate goal-scoring threat. So simply put, this 4-4-2 has provided some flexibility for Arsenal down the right-hand side, where Saka can now drop deeper to receive the ball rather than having Odegaard shift in towards that zone. And from here, with Saka dropping deeper, you're seeing Timber making overlapping and underlapping runs beyond him, whereas Havertz and Trossard are drifting in towards that zone to occupy the free space that he created. And that has benefited Arsenal, whereas their 3-2-5 has often had Odegaard receiving the ball in those deeper positions, Saka hugging the touchline higher up the pitch and waiting for possession, and then in most scenarios, he's often outnumbered in that zone as Havertz and Trossard are occupying positions towards the left and in central areas.
So as you can see, the rotations and movement Arsenal's front 2 and Timber provide for Saka has maximized their right side threat in Arteta's 4-4-2, providing their attack with more productivity and flexibility, and offering more of a threat in Arsenal's attack in open play.